I rose from junior clerk to Chief of Special Services in the State Department of Industrial Relations. From there, I went to the U.S. Department of Labor because they had learned of the manner in which I handled Martin Luther King when he visited the Public Employment Office in Montgomery, Alabama. He was wanting to integrate that office, and we were operating under two laws. State law, which says thou shalt segregate, and federal law, which paid for it, which says thou shalt integrate.
Right.
So I went to my boss in Montgomery, which was about 6 blocks away from where my office was. I said, sir, we're going to have a real crisis here before it's over with. And he says, you mean you're going to have somebody coming in trying to integrate your local office there? I said, that's exactly right. He says, well, you're on your own. When I got back to my office, I told my staff, I said, now, whenever somebody comes into this office, they had a partition right down the middle,
right,
separating whites from blacks. I said, you make sure that none of that people are seated in the segregated waiting room. There were about 6 that came in. I said, you make sure that each one of them is seated as far apart from any of the others, the 5, just spread them out, so that they're too far apart to converse with one another. Now you take the leader, whoever he happens to be, and bring him into my office and close the door and pull down the blinds so he can't see out. As it turned out to be, it was Dr. Martin Luther King. I said, welcome, Dr. King, come on in, have a seat in my office. And we must have spent 30 or 45 minutes there. I took his application for work. I said to him, I said, Dr. King, we don't get very many orders for preachers. You see, we're in an employment office. We don't get very many orders for preachers, and especially do not get any orders for black preachers. But if we do, you'll be the first to know. We'll call you and let you know, and we'll see if we can't get you to it. Is there anything else we can do? He said, no, thank you, Mr. Rollin, and you've done enough, and we won't be back. Now, the word of what happened there, I don't know how it got out of there, but the word got back to my headquarters in Atlanta, which had 5 states, including Alabama. Right. And that word also got to Dallas, which had not been faced with as much of what happened in Alabama and Georgia, and the regional director here in Dallas wanted to speak to me. And he had a job here in Dallas, and he wanted me to come and be interviewed for it, and that's how I got to Dallas.
How did Martin Luther King's death affect you?
I was very sorry about that. I felt that what was going on in the South, and particularly in Montgomery, Alabama, and the reason for Montgomery is this. He had a church right there on Dexter Avenue, about 1 block away from the state capitol in Montgomery. So his headquarters operated out of Montgomery. I knew that it was going to come to a head. Now he's a very smart man, a very able speaker.
Did you ever see him again?
Never did. I thought that eventually he was going to succeed. You see, he was an advocate of peaceful resistance. He never did raise his arm. None of his people raised their arm in resistance of what they were fighting against. I forget the name of the guy, but this murder of Martin Luther King was not the first time that he'd gotten into trouble.